Green Chef is a CCOF certified meal kit company. Green Chef makes eating well easy with plans to fit every lifestyle. Green Chef makes cooking easy, so you can spend less time stressing and more time enjoying delicious home-cooked meals. Avoid long lines at the grocery store. Green Chef is so convenient with a pre-portioned, easy-to-follow recipes that are delivered right at your door. With fresh produce, premium portions, and organic ingredients, you can trust Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. Green Chef's options for every lifestyle includes keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, fast and fit, Mediterranean, and gluten-free. My favorite Green Chef recipe so far is a turkey teriyaki bowl. Me and Parker absolutely love it. Go to greenchef.com/think130 and use code think130 to get $130 off plus free shipping. Go to greenchef.com/think130 and use code think130 to get $130 off plus free shipping.
Do you identify as crypto curious? If you've ever thought about entering the world of cryptocurrency but felt a little overwhelmed, Coinbase makes learning to buy and sell simple. Coinbase offers a trusted and easy-to-use platform to buy, sell, and send cryptocurrency. They support the most popular digital currencies on the market and make them accessible to everyone. They offer a portfolio management and protection, learning resources, and a mobile app so you can trade securely and monitor your crypto and all in one place. Millions of people in over 100 countries trust Coinbase with their digital assets. I personally have Coinbase and I've loved my experience on it. I was new to cryptocurrency, but Coinbase made it easy to learn. Whether you're looking to diversify, just getting started, or searching for a better way to access crypto markets, start today with Coinbase. For a limited time, new users can get $10 in free Bitcoin when you sign up today at coinbase.com/think. Sign up at coinbase.com/think for $10 in free Bitcoin. The offer is a limited time only, so be sure to sign up today. That's coinbase.com/think.
It's time to ditch the chemicals with Caraway Home's non-toxic cookware and bakeware collection so you can make healthier cooking a piece of cake. Caraway Home's non-toxic kitchenwares are all designed for the modern home and features a chemical-free ceramic coating. All sets come equipped with easy access storage solutions so that no stacking is required. Gone are the days of misplacing your lids. They have the cookware set and the bakeware set. The bakeware set is an assortment of non-toxic baking essentials every kitchen needs, so you can get to baking goods without any of the bads. I love that all Caraway's products are non-toxic. It gives me a peace of mind when cooking for me and Parker. Visit carawayhome.com/think to take advantage of this limited time offer for 10% off your next purchase. This deal is exclusive for our listeners, so visit carawayhome.com/think or use code THINK at checkout. Caraway, non-toxic cookware made modern.
Welcome to the Think Loud Crew podcast. 3 moms getting real with parenthood, relationships, and the WTF moments of our daily lives. But today, Shanan and Cheyenne will not be joining us. So my name is Lynn, and today I'm sitting down with our wonderful grandmother, Miss Connie Bass. Hi, Nana.
Hi, thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
So today we are going to get a little intro of who is Connie Bass, the woman, she's the matriarch of our family. Cheyenne, Zach, and I are starting a new venture where we are doing luxury event planning and custom catering. We have finally filed our DBA, and a lot of people come to Cheyenne for event planning, or they're like, hey, how do you guys know all this? So it is only right that we talk to you, Nana, just to get some of that history. So I think others will better understand, like, where our love, where our creativity, where our passion for event planning comes from. So I want to touch on that with you today.
Okay.
And then also just a little, will you introduce yourself? Like, let's start there. Will you introduce yourself to us?
So I am the eldest of 5 daughters born to James and Hazel Bass. In the back bedroom of 1522 East 55th Street in Los Angeles, California.
So you are an LA native.
Yes.
Where are your parents from?
My mother is from Pine Bluff. I was born in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, raised in Memphis, Tennessee, and brought to Los Angeles when she was 15.
Okay.
My father was born in Manny, Louisiana, moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then he came to Los Angeles via Chowchilla, California, San Joaquin Valley.
Got it.
When he was in his 20s, he met Hazel and they married.
Got it. Cool. So I've heard this so many times, but it's still always really cool to hear it again. So as the oldest of 5 daughters, what was your childhood like?
I was the second mother, literally. However, in our house was God first and then music. Mm-hmm. So my mother taught all of us how to read music before we were 6 years old.
How do you teach a child to read music before?
You sit them down to the piano and you show them the music, and they actually learn the notes and what they are and compare to the piano. So we actually had a professor that came in to teach us, meaning myself and Ruth, because we were the first 2.
That's cool. I didn't know you guys had a professor.
Yes, he was Professor Turner.
Professor Turner. Shout out to Professor Turner, because I believe 2 of the 5 sisters have perfect pitch.
Yes, that's Ruth and Lois.
And Lois, yeah.
Lois was a child prodigy, playing the piano at 3.
But when I hear these things, I'm just trying to picture Boz like really getting down on the piano right now, and it's not happening. So
it will in time.
It will in time. Yeah, but I think it's very special that that music was such a part of your life, and that is a gift that y'all carried. Another little fun fact: Miss Connie Bass over here has one of the most angelic, I would say, voices that I've heard in my lifetime. Nana was a singer, and you also play the violin.
Yes. So the violin is kind of an interesting story, because playing the piano in those days, the professor, if you made a mistake, the professor would hit your hands. Mm-hmm. So you were very intense not to make a mistake. But my mother did one thing. She would sit on the lessons and have a pencil and paper and mark down how many times the professor hit our hands. Mm-hmm. And then when he left, then she spanked us.
That the same amount of times?
Yes.
Different times.
So I said, I want to change to the violin. And I do believe it was because I thought it would be more difficult to spank my hands.
Because you're holding the violin, yes, and you're holding the bow. Interesting.
So at 6 years old, I was able to start taking violin lessons, which was great. I also want to tell you that my mother taught me to sing Malat's Lord's Prayer at the age of 5. Mm-hmm. And I was performing Malat's Lord's Prayer at church.
In front of how many people?
Hundreds. And so performing has always been part of us, because that's what we did. And every time guests came to our house, we had to get our instruments out and perform and entertain them. Yeah, it was very interesting. So preparation, discipline, practicing, it's always been a part of our lives.
Yeah, from a very young age.
Very young
age. Like you've told stories from your childhood where when you would wake up, like you guys would wake up early,
5 a.m.
your mother would write a Bible verse
on a chalkboard. So you woke up, you put your robe on, and you went to the chalkboard and you studied that verse. And within 2 hours or so, when it's time to leave for school, we would have memorized that verse.
Were you waking up at 5 so that you could remember the verse? Or
we were waking up at 5 because my mother woke us up at 5.
Okay.
Yes,
a.m. And what time would you leave for school?
7:30.
So for those 2.5 hours.
Yes, so there was not a lot of confusion because you were memorizing that verse and getting breakfast. Oh, and then practicing your vocal, piano, whatever.
Yeah, you've told me stories where it's like she would hit a note on the piano.
So Ruth and Lois,
you would have to
have perfect pitch, which you were born with. But it was developed by my mother because she would have us stand away from the piano so we could not see the notes. And she hit the notes, and then we had to tell her what that note was.
I see. I didn't know you were born with perfect pitch.
I didn't either until a few months ago. We were talking about it, and Ruth and Lois said to me, "You're born with perfect pitch, but it has to be developed." So
I thought it was something that anyone could develop. So that's
you know what? I don't know.
And I feel like anyone could, if you really wanted to, you could develop it. But of course, there are going to be some people who just innately have it.
So the interesting part was at church, sometimes the preacher or the singer or whatever, they would just start singing in any key. My sisters, within seconds, could accompany them no matter what they were singing, with that, go right into the key that they're singing in.
Cool. They were able to adjust to the singer.
Yes.
And I know Auntie Lois, she plays the piano, and Auntie Ruth, she plays the organ. Or the pipe organ.
Yeah, Ruth plays the piano, whatever organ, pipe, Hammond, because we didn't have pipe organs when we were children. Okay. The pipe organ came later, meaning the availability to a pipe organ.
Got it. So that's really cool. And did we share some more of your music stories? Because I know you've traveled with music.
So music was, again, a part of our lives. And, but I got married at 19. Okay. And my husband was not supportive. So whenever I had something special to do, he would stage a heart attack. So I couldn't go to my performance.
You said stage a heart attack.
Yes. And then we'd have to go to the hospital.
Oh, he would literally stage a heart attack.
Yes.
Like physically, like.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were saying like maybe he was just being dramatic.
No.
Oh.
He went to the hospital.
Of all the stories I've heard, Nana, that's the first time I've heard that one.
So about the third time that occurred, I said, okay, let me understand. He's not going to support my music.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's crushing.
So between having 4 pregnancies in 5 years, working full time, having no help from him, I said, all right, let me just release the music. So I don't play the violin anymore. I don't sing anymore. But once we got divorced, then I started to look for an avenue so that I could sing. And depending on the year and how I could do whatever I did, I'd find a choir to sing in. So after the girls were grown and I'm raising Monique, at 3 years old, Monique did not like the church that I wanted to go to. And she complained. I mean, she's 3 years old and not wanting. So I said, all right, I got to shop for a church. And I called my friend Joni Vaughn, the hairstylist.
Yes.
I said, Joni, I need to find a church that Monique will be comfortable in. So we literally visited 4 churches.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And then the last church that I visited was Holman United Methodist Church.
Got it.
Holman had the children's choir, Sunday school. It had all the programs that we needed in a church. And it had a choir. So I then began singing with the Holman choir. So in 1984, under the direction of Gwen Wyatt, who was a beautiful vocalist. We sang in the 1984 Olympics, backing Etta James when the Saints go marching in. That was a very interesting experience. I don't remember the year that we traveled to Austria, but 40 of us, and we did 2 concerts a day for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
that was very interesting experience.
So it's, even though music wasn't able to be like the focus in your life, I feel like you still had those moments to express yourself and get a taste of what it could have been like if you really went full throttle.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
So when we moved to Marina Del Rey, I don't know how, I can't remember how I connected, but I learned of the Marina Del Rey Singers.
Okay.
And it was formed and created by Betty Luboff, who was the ex-wife of the Norman Luboff Singers. And I sang with them. There was maybe 20 of us at any concert, because the people in and out. Because it was literally for fun. And so we sang at Christmas time at all the restaurants in Marina Del Rey, the complex parties, and just, the boat parade was sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, and we would be on the boat and sing. Did that for about 5 years.
Nana, you made it sound like your ex-husband staged heart attacks and there was no music ever again. I guess that's just what played in my head. There's always,
this was after I got divorced.
This is after divorce. Yeah. Yes. So I'm like, you definitely. I'm happy that you didn't give it up. You released it for a time, but it
had no choice.
It's always come back to you.
Yes.
That's the beauty of music.
So in 1978, I said, I want to sing with the McNeil Singers. Mr. McNeil was my voice coach in junior high school. So I found them, and they were rehearsing at the Church of Christian Fellowship on Hobart and Oxford. And so I asked him if I could sing, and he allowed it. And so, but I could not go and travel with them 6 months because I had children.
Yeah, children, yeah.
And so, and I was a deputy sheriff. And most of them were teachers, and they had an arrangement with their schools. I couldn't arrange that. So I sang with them in town.
I like how we're talking about music, but you just nonchalantly dropped that you were a deputy sheriff. Every time I sit and talk with you, I'm reminded of all of the lives that you've had in your time on Earth. And one thing I do want to get to is the event planning and the catering, but I don't think we can even talk about that without first addressing that you were a deputy sheriff for.
So I'd like to tell you that my first event planning, or one of my main event planning, was in 1971. Okay, let me back up.
Okay.
When I first got to the jail with Sybil Brand Institute in 1971, they assigned me to the critically mentally ill cell block, which was 4,000.
There's 4,000 people in there?
No.
Oh, I'm like.
Number 4,000.
Oh, okay. I'm like, I don't know how jails work inside. I'm sorry.
24 inmates, 12 cells on each side.
Okay. That sounds more manageable.
So the rule was to allow the inmates to have a shower every other day, and you had to keep a record. But I decided that I wanted them to have a shower every day. So I would go in the mornings, and I would sing to them. One of my favorite songs to sing was "This Little Light of Mine, I'm Gonna Let It Shine." And soon I would have the women in the cell blocks who were critically mentally ill singing with me. And I walk in, I said, "Good morning, Deputy Robinson is here, and we are going to have a great day." And I would just start singing. And then pretty soon they would sing as well. So I didn't know that my sergeants and lieutenants were taking note. They knew I had a music background, but they were listening to me singing to the inmates. So one day, Lieutenant Hesk came to me and she said, "Connie, you are going to create the rehabilitation programs for the entire custody facility." I said to her, "I have no degree. I'm not a psychiatrist. I have no degree. What qualifies me? And she says, your music background. I said, oh, yes. Thanks to my mother waking us up at 5 a.m., I do have that background.
Did your mom have a music background? Or
she just loved music.
Okay.
And she played the piano. She taught herself.
Okay.
But she loved classical music. Yes. She studied the lives of Mozart, Brahms, Beethoven. She knew their history. And that was her
thing.
Yes, literally. But also the church was extremely ingrained in our lives. I mean, the Bass family probably walked to church 6 days out of the 7 days.
Got it.
Yeah. And on Sundays, we were there all day. So 6 o'clock a.m. prayer service, 8 a.m. Sunday school, 11 o'clock morning service, go home, eat, and come back for 6 p.m. Holiness Young People's Union, and then 7:30 night service.
Y'all were at the church.
All day Sunday.
Yeah. Y'all were there.
So I'd like to tell you that.
Wait, you're saying your first event, not to cut you off, but your first event
was planning the benefits for the inmates.
Oh.
Okay, so go back to the creating the
rehabilitation
programs. And it was through music. Okay. So I worked with the ladies at Sybil Brand, and then I had 3 partners: a sergeant, a deputy who was on administrative leave because he had accidentally killed his neighbor.
Oh.
And a correction officer who loved jazz, who was a big teddy bear. His name was Mr. John, who was a wonderful man. And we had an office in Central Jail, a men's Central Jail, okay, which is why I got to see the male inmates when they were coming back from Vietnam.
So you were working in a female ward or
jail,
but your office was in the male jail?
Yes.
Okay.
Because of the program.
Okay. Were they in the same kind of overall jail, or were they two separate?
Two separate. Sybil Brand was in the East LA.
Okay.
Across from Cal State LA, and Men's Central was downtown LA.
Got it. So you worked at one, but your office was in. Okay, I'm just trying to mentally understand the logistics. Okay.
So the brainchild of this program was an African American Inspector Darden, who he was the one who said, "Let's do the music program." And I had his phone number. I could call him if there were challenges or if the suggestions. In the meantime, Peter Pitches was the sheriff. Joe Adams, who was Ray Charles' manager, wanted to be a reserve. Reserves get to carry guns, but most of them work patrol. They get $1 per year, and they actually do the duties of a police officer. They have to go through the training, and it's usually patrol. So Peter Pitches told Mr. Joe Adams, please introduce Connie to the celebrities to bring benefits to Sybil Brand Auditorium.
Got it.
For the inmates. So that meant that I worked with the teams of each one of those celebrities. And the celebrities were Frank Sinatra, Billy Eckstine, Helen Reddy, Ray Charles, of course, gave us several concerts, B.B. King, Elvin Jones, Al Green. I'm trying to remember
these are big names.
Yes. Yes. So I got to work with their teams, their agents, their managers, to plan the benefits.
And this was in the 70s?
Yes.
Cool.
From 71 to 76.
Okay.
Which was a great job. I loved it.
Yeah, it sounds like it was fulfilling in the sense that you were still able to bring some humanity to the women who you were
supervising.
Thank you for the word. and you were able to your music was still coming back. So it's music has always been a part of who you are.
Exactly.
And been part of your life. So I think that's very special.
So I didn't really anticipate my peers, but they were actually jealous. And they were like, how'd you get that job? I said, did you have a mother wake you up at 5 a.m. to practice your music?
No.
And they looked at me like, I said, well, then that's how I got the job.
That's when experience and just being who you are, topped any degree or.
Yes. That's beautiful. So I always gave my mother that credit because I would not have done it had she not
instilled it.
Yes. And the church, of course, the church. So anyway, that job was from 1971 to 1976. And I was able to work one-on-one with the female inmates. By that, when they got released, I could contact Friends Outside to see if they could help. Friends Outside was an organization that was actually created by, I think her name was Mrs. Dobbs. She was married to a Judge Dobbs. This is many years ago. Friends Outside actually helped inmates transition from being in jail to by helping them getting apartments.
Got it.
If they had children, they would they would see them through that transition.
Yeah, and I imagine that is a very difficult time. So I'm happy.
Yes. So I would say that most of the girls that I worked with, or the ladies that I worked with, did not come back. And the recidivism rate at that time was 80%. That means 80% of the people that go to jail come back. Because the root cause of most of those were from drugs and alcohol. Got it. Now, the men was a different story because they were addicted to hard drugs. And they would come back.
Got it. Interesting.
Yes. And now they were housed, we always kept a band of 16. And we got professional musicians, I won't say who they were, who came and they were housed at the Biscayne Center, which is also in East LA.
So when the benefits would happen, where they're like donating their time, are they coming?
They were donating their time
inside the prison to do these things, or is it like, are we on the
county
yard?
jail?
Okay.
Sybil Brand has a beautiful yard, and it's no longer. I mean, it's not a jail anymore. I don't know where the women are now, but they closed it some years ago. I apologize that I don't know.
No, you don't.
Better for that. But
you're not there anymore.
Yes.
We've released that place. You don't have to keep tabs on it anymore.
So I'd like to tell you that La Puente Unified School District was the school district that held the classes for the women. We worked with them as well. Okay. And we had the privilege to connect to the county psychiatrists, doctors. So if the girls needed any therapy or whatever they needed, I had that ability to connect them.
See, when I hear these stories, okay, one thing about my grandmother is one of the most helpful people I've ever come across. Like, I can express an idea to you and you're like, okay, let me figure it out. You're like, you're going to make the phone calls, you're going to do the research, you're going to phone a friend, like, no matter how difficult, ludicrous or crazy the thought might be, like, you make it happen. Yeah. But I see that's something that you've been doing throughout your life.
Yes. So the name of my book is I Had to Figure It Out. Being a single parent.
Yeah.
Single mother of 3 beautiful daughters.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you identify as crypto curious? If you've ever thought about entering the world of cryptocurrency but felt a little overwhelmed, Coinbase makes learning to buy and sell simple. Coinbase offers a trusted and easy-to-use platform to buy, sell, and send cryptocurrency. They support the most popular digital currencies on the market and make them accessible to everyone. They offer a portfolio management and protection, learning resources, and a mobile app so you can trade securely and monitor your crypto and all in one place. Millions of people in over 100 countries trust Coinbase with their digital assets. I personally have Coinbase and I've loved my experience on it. I was new to cryptocurrency, but Coinbase made it easy to learn. Whether you're looking to diversify, just getting started, or searching for a better way to access crypto markets, start today with Coinbase. For a limited time, new users can get $10 in free Bitcoin when you sign up today at coinbase.com/think. Sign up at coinbase.com/think for $10 in free Bitcoin. The offer is a limited time only, so be sure to sign up today. That's coinbase.com/think.
So there was a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of reward in that particular job that I had for 5 years. And I was grateful, very grateful.
I'm grateful that they had you.
Yes.
It makes me happy that you were able to sing to them. And, you know, we hear, I think as a society, we hear so many stories of people who, you know, are supervising inmates being like mean or cruel or like, you know, dehumanizing towards them. So it makes me happy to hear that you tried your best to bring some humanity into it. You know, hey, let's shower daily. Hey, I'm going to sing to you. It's, I think we need to hear more of that in life.
I literally adopted a saying that I even say right now. Mm-hmm. And I say, but for the grace of God, go I. Had I been born to another set of parents, my life could have been very different.
Yes.
But God chose to give me to Hazel and James, and we had a wonderful life. And I'm very grateful.
I say shout out to my great grandparents.
Yes.
Like if it wasn't for y'all, like we wouldn't be here. And yeah, it's I'm able to see like the tradition or just, you know, the traditions that your parents instilled in you. They've been carried down, I think, in a beautiful way. And
so I'd also like to share with you that at home I was my mother's assistant. Mm-hmm. I cooked, I cleaned. I was second mother because I was the eldest child. And
did your mom work?
No, she was an at-home mother, but she cooked 3 meals a day, and every day we sat down. The table was set, and we had a meal every day and got to discuss our days with our father and our mother, which it's
family dinner time.
Yes. Now the only time that was maybe changed was on Saturdays, because that was my mother's day off to cook, and my father would do a pot of chili or something a little more casual, and then maybe we didn't sit formally down at the table.
Yeah, which is, you know, it's interesting because like as a family, we spend a lot of time in the kitchen.
Yes,
together. Like Nana is a great cook. We've all had our time like asking Nana for recipes or just any kind of tips or coaching. We've recorded Nana making certain meals just so that, you know, they aren't lost, like, and we're able to study and learn and keep our family traditions going. So it's nice to hear these stories and to know where it comes from, like that sense of family. And we're very family oriented. It's a lot of people are always like, hey, like, where did this come from? Like, how do you guys operate as a family, or what influences have, like, you know, caused us to be the family we are now? So it's hearing stories like this.
I want to share that my grandparents on the Bass side, Elijah and Rosa, had 14 children.
Yes.
They were the first African-American dairy farmers in Chowchilla, California, and eventually owned 88 acres of land.
Oh, wow.
So my father would go up and they would kill a cow or hog, and they would cut it up, and my father would bring that meat back, package it, and we had a freezer on Gage Avenue where he stored the meat. So we had enough to share with the whole community, families that moved in from the South, church, food was never a problem. And my dad gardened in the backyard, so we had fresh vegetables. So at 12 years old, it
Sounds like a nice childhood.
It was a blessed childhood. Yeah. Didn't always understand it at the time, but looking back and after seeing and hearing some of the stories of the inmates, I wrote my parents a letter and thanked them for the childhood that they had given us. And there was no luxury. You know, when I look at it, we had one pair of shoes, to go to school, and another pair to go to sit. And you might wear the same pair of shoes to church, whatever. But the family all worked together. Aunt Truth was a seamstress, so she sewed our special Easter dresses. Our Auntie Robert Esther worked in homes, and so we got to have clothes from the wealthy.
Yeah, I just found out that she worked in
Sean Connery.
Yeah, I don't know what award show was that last night.
The Academy.
Academy Awards. I'm so bad at these things. I was about to call it the Grammys. The Grammys are music. The Academy Awards. Yeah,
we mentioned James Bond, and so I said, okay, Auntie was one of her last services was Sean Connery.
That's cool.
Yes. So my aunt was the maid for the Helms Bakery people.
Oh, the furniture?
No.
Is that where the furniture stores are?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's where their buildings are.
Okay.
But they actually had trucks that drove around the city with bakery goods in them, and people, just like the milkman, the Helms Bakery man came around with goodies. You go out and you buy your cream puff, your cookies. So my aunt worked for them, and I got to dress in some of her clothes, Mrs. Helms, which came from Saks Fifth Avenue.
So, okay. Now, like all these pieces, I'm hearing new information and it's making sense in the other parts of life that you've told me about. So as a single mother, Connie Bass worked like, she'd have her, her two jobs, but then she would work like part-time at Saks Fifth Avenue.
In order to dress my girls for high school.
Yes. So my mom and her sisters,
so I'd like to tell you this story. I will tell you the stories. So I was one of these mothers who delighted in dressing my daughters.
Yes.
Oh my God. They all went to school in freshly ironed dresses every day. And the teachers would scowl at us and they said, why do you send them? I said, that's the way I dreamed that I was going to dress my children.
Yes.
Have at it. Yeah. So, whatever.
Are you mad your clothes aren't ironed?
So literally, I had a lady who would iron 15 dresses a week because it's 3 girls, 5 days, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so once we moved to LA, to Marina Del Rey, we moved from Altadena. Excuse me. It's high school. I'm like, oh my God, my girls are not jeans and t-shirts. Mm-hmm. How do I manage to keep them dressed? So I sat down and I called all of the department stores, Bullock's, Robinson's, May Company, Broadway, and Saks Fifth Avenue. And I asked each one of them, what do you pay your part-time employees? But more importantly,
what's the discount?
Yes. If I purchase, what is the discount? Saks Fifth Avenue for part-time employees, and they didn't have any minimum or maximum hours. Oh. 30%.
That's not bad at all.
And you could work one day, you still qualify to get 30%. So in those days, it was a mid-length wool skirt, normally plaid, velvet blazer jacket, turtleneck sweater with boots. Mm-hmm. So I dressed the part. And I went to Saks and I said to the lady, the human resources person, I need you and you need me. And she looked at me like, who are you? I said, I need to dress my daughters and I want to work part-time here. Okay, so she was just stunned and she said, come back tomorrow at 1:00. I said, may I have the application so that I can have it filled out when I get back? And she handed it to me, and she smiled, and I left. I came back at 1:00. She said to me, I don't need to interview you. When do you want to begin?
Aw.
And so we made a schedule, and I began. So it was kind of interesting because this would have been, let's see, Monique was maybe 8 months or so. So she was born in 75. So this would be 75, 76 when the girls are in high school.
Got it.
The managers loved me. And they would say, they would reduce the items that I wanted for the girls even more. So I was getting them things below wholesale. However, I worked. I mean, I knew it was fun. It was fun. So the ladies that were my peers on the job were European immigrants, and they didn't like me. They had heavy accents, and I could only work on Saturdays or holidays because I was, still a sheriff. So I went home and I meditated and I said, dear God, I want them to like me. What do I do? And it came to me that I was competition and I didn't really need the money that what I needed was to get the clothes that I wanted at the discount, 30% discount. So when I got a big sale on Saturday, I would go and I'd get their book. And I said, let me put this in your book because they made commission.
Oh.
I didn't need the commission.
Lady, you were really nice.
And
I'd work with you.
Then they liked me from then on.
Huh.
So I bought my way. But I wanted it to be harmonious.
Yeah.
The managers loved me because I was smart.
Yeah.
And I would get the sales or whatever. But let me tell you how funny.
But you were also there for a certain purpose.
Yes.
And wow, you're a special person. Okay.
So
Taking this all in.
I remember when the celebrities would come, the buzz would go all over the store. Oh my God. Ella Fitzgerald?
Yes.
She shopped at Saks. And so pretty somebody would say, Ella's in the store, like, okay. That was very interesting to me because it just was interesting.
Well, you weren't going after those commission sales at like some of the other people, I think. And you had already been around, just in your line of work, you've dealt with some at the time, like celebrities and whatnot. So I think it was just, it didn't phase you the same way.
No.
Yeah.
And so, but it was just interesting that seeing that lifestyle, how it worked from that particular angle. So that was my Saks Fifth Avenue story.
I always like that one.
So then as you know, I love the arts. And I wanted to take my daughters to the Hollywood Bowl. And I was trying to figure out how do I do that on my salary. So I called someone and I said, by any chance, is there a way that I can work at the Hollywood Bowl so that I could bring the girls? They said yes. So
this is literally the first time I'm ever hearing this, and I'm like, wait, what? So
the Hollywood Bowl has a gift shop.
Yes.
I would go take the girls so they could go hang out and buy whatever beverages. I'd work the gift shop for couple hours.
And they would just like roam around?
They would, eat and then we'd all go enjoy the show. You know what? I told you I had to figure it out.
You had to figure it out. As a mom, like sometimes I'm like, okay, how do I do this? Yeah. But we need to hear stories like this because it's like if there is a will, there's like, if you have
there is a way.
There's a way, and there's so many ways to figure things out and to get creative. And I love it now, like even with, moms who are in school, when you see on social media and when the mom's taking the test and the professor's holding the baby or something, and it's you remind me that you don't have to hold yourself back in order to get what you want. And you remind me that as a mom, as a parent, sometimes guess what? We can take our kids with us.
Yes.
And I think like there's no rules that say kids aren't allowed. Like,
Right.
you know, sometimes the setting may not be right, but it's, yeah, you are really reminding me that right now, especially hearing this Hollywood Bowl story. And for me growing up with my parents, you know, they've had their business for next year to be 25 years.
Yes.
So I grew up in my parents' office. Like I grew up seeing them working. I grew up, you know, working with them. I grew up working with you also on like on events and catering. So yeah, I needed this moment right now.
Okay.
I needed this. Even like right now after like having a baby, I've been like, I'm still wearing the same clothes because I have like my body goals, but also I'm like, I don't know where I want to shop, and the places I like to shop are super expensive. And I'm like, what if, just thinking, I'm like, oh wait, why don't I go get a part-time retail something just to get that discount? Because I know how I want to dress myself. I know how I want to dress my children. But at the same time, like some of this stuff, like, I'm not paying that.
Yeah.
I'm not paying that. I
They trusted me with their furs in the fur department.
Yes.
Because I was a police officer, you know, and even though I wasn't working security, it was just nice to have someone in the store. And I didn't have my gun on me because I didn't take my gun, you know. But yes, so
Trusted.
it was a great experience for me.
Yeah. How long did you?
Almost 3 years.
Cool.
And I could choose this, you know, I could say, okay, I'm available here. And I remember one time I took off, there was a special sale. Mm-hmm. So I took off from the sheriff's department and worked that period of time, whatever it was. Yeah. So
I love it.
Yeah. And then just being in Beverly Hills was
a different
nice.
experience. Yes.
It really was. Yes.
Cool.
So I'd also like to tell you that at 12 years old, it was my honor to prepare the Sunday meal from anywhere to 8 to 20 people.
Oh, how old? 12?
12. So that was when I learned that if I wanted to have the dinner ready by 3 o'clock on Sunday, I had to prep the day before.
The night before.
So I would go and pick the vegetables early Saturday morning.
And you like cooked everything yourself?
Yes.
Okay, let me just listen
and
for
it
a second.
was always fried chicken. Always fried chicken. So it may be a roast or something, a ham, whatever, but for sure, always fried chicken. So when I got married, I was like, I'm never frying chicken again. And one day, Susan, my oldest daughter, I picked her up at school, and she said, Mother, why don't we ever have fried chicken? I was like, oh no.
You were having PTSD from that fried chicken.
I got to start frying chicken again.
No, it's funny. So it was like this past weekend, Mom made some fried chicken, and Sabrina was here, and she was like, I want to learn. And I've only maybe fried chicken like 2 times before, but I was just thinking, because I was kind of laughing to myself, like most of the men that I've dated, they don't eat chicken. Like they don't really eat fried foods. Like they don't eat it. So I never make it. So right now I'm in this place where I want to learn how to make fried chicken, just because Mom's fried chicken, like people rave over my mother's fried chicken, y'all.
It's the best.
Like it's a
treat.
It is a treat. And I'm not a big chicken person. Like I don't eat like fried foods, but I will eat her fried chicken like any day. And Boz loves it too.
Yes.
Boz is one of the pickiest eaters, and right now in it's temporary pickiness. And he's like, no, I want grandma's, he calls it the chicken with the bone in it and the brown skin. And I'm like, you want some chicken? He's like, yeah, he's like, no, I don't want chicken. I want the chicken with the bone in it and the brown skin. So I'm like, okay.
Very clear.
Very clear. And I remember one time I gave him some other chicken. I like ordered chicken, and I was like, oh, here's some fried chicken. He was like, he looked up at me, he said, this ain't grandma's. And I was like, you're very right, but this is what we're going to eat right now. So it's, Yeah, I got to learn how to make her fried chicken. I got to keep that alive because I feel like it would be wrong of me if I don't know how to do it at this point in life. So, Mom, I'm coming for your fried chicken.
So when I went into the catering business, people were just pronouncing my doom. And I'm like, you guys, I've been doing this all my life.
Yes.
So I know how to do this.
Yes.
And I had to get the timing right.
Yes.
But once I got the timing right, I was on my way. So when I left the sheriff's department in 1985, I ran to LA Trade Tech to take a class in catering, or food prep. So I went to the teacher and I said to him, every second counts. I'm a single grandmother. I just left my job as a deputy sheriff. I began the business 5 years ago, and I built it to a point where I believe I can support myself and my grandchild. Well, that was Monique. I said, but I never dreamed that you were doing box biscuits. And I said, that's not what I consider gourmet.
When you say a box biscuit,
I mean, they were like Bisquick.
oh, like making biscuits out of like box stuff versus scratch.
Yes,
and that's what they were teaching people?
That's what they were doing because they were servicing the cafeteria for the students. And I wanted
but still,
scratch recipes.
Yeah.
So I was so disappointed. I said, but I'm going to make this count. So I was under the impression that if I got through the catering, somebody may say to me, where's your certificate? What are your credentials?
Yes.
What have you done to prepare for this?
Yes.
No one ever asked me that. It was always the budget. And so I said to Mr. Phillips, who was a kind man, and I said, I have a line of cookies and I need to get to a formula that I can produce in a commercial sense. I said, may I bake the cookies, bring them into the class for you and the class to critique. I did that for 2 weeks. And the formula that we do right now are the formulas that was born out of that class.
Y'all, these cookies are so good. I'm literally trying to figure out, my mom and I talk about this all the time. How do we get Cookies by Connie back? So when I was like in middle school, high school, every holiday season, my grandmother would make these elaborate cookie boxes that were so beautiful. And they were red and it had like the transparent, like the window. So you could see, like literally it'd be like 25 cookies just lined up.
It was a cookie bouquet.
It's time to ditch the chemicals with Caraway Home's non-toxic cookware and bakeware collection so you can make healthier cooking a piece of cake. Caraway Home's non-toxic kitchenwares are all designed for the modern home and features a chemical-free ceramic coating. All sets come equipped with easy access storage solutions so that no stacking is required. Gone are the days of misplacing your lids. They have the cookware set and the bakeware set. The bakeware set is an assortment of non-toxic baking essentials every kitchen needs, so you can get to baking goods without any of the bads. I love that all Caraway's products are non-toxic. It gives me a peace of mind when cooking for me and Parker. Visit carawayhome.com/think to take advantage of this limited time offer for 10% off your next purchase. This deal is exclusive for our listeners, so visit carawayhome.com/think or use code THINK at checkout. Caraway, non-toxic cookware made modern.
And so we're back.
So we were talking about the cookies.
The cookie bouquets, yes.
Yes, and I was saying to you that I'll email the brochure.
Okay, yeah, yes, I would love that so I can like add in a photo.
Okay.
But yeah, my grandmother is very known for her cookies. All my teachers loved them. Holiday time, everyone was like, are we getting cookies? Like, how can I get more cookies?
So the ImageQuest clients got cookie baskets every Christmas.
Every year. Yeah. These Yeah. So even to this day, my mom and I often talk about we need to sit down with a food scientist so that we can
put a preservative in so they can last longer.
Yeah, so they can last longer. But at the same time, I don't want to put a preservative in.
And neither do I.
So I'm like, why do we have to?
We want it to be a fresh cookie.
Yes.
Period. So that means it's got to be a retail cookie. Or do like we had talked before, with the vendor, the whole
vending machine.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So y'all be ready. 2023, we might have some, we not might. I am wishing and manifesting and praying that we will have our first Cookies by Connie vending machine somewhere in Los Angeles where you can get fresh cookies that are really, really, really good. Like really good.
Yes. So the cookies got us into any difficult situation. Even when I was with the sheriff's department, if I had a difficult situation with one of my sergeants, lieutenants, I baked the cookies that night and take it.
Yeah, and these cookies are wanted. Didn't you? I believe you said Erewhon wanted the cookie.
But they didn't. No sugar.
No sugar. Okay.
And we have sugar. So I'll tell you this really cute story.
Sugar. Yes.
About I had Monique at the Westside Jewish Center for the summer. So they had a picnic. So I baked oatmeal raisin cookies and put them in a green Tupperware container. Mm-hmm. So I went to pick her up. I was looking for my Tupperware container and it wasn't where it should be.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my God, where do I find my... And this woman was holding the Tupperware.
Did she want to see who was going to claim it?
Yes. And so I walked over and I was very hesitant and she said, by any chance, are you the baker of these cookies? I said, yes. And so she said, you can't have it until you give me the recipe.
I can give you the recipe, but you're not me and you won't make it the same way.
I said to her, unfortunately, it's a technique.
Yes.
She said, just give me the recipe. So I actually coached her by phone.
I love that. You're such a nice person.
And
there's so many people who are like, I'm dying with my recipe, and they do.
No.
I feel like when you're giving gifts like this, like
God blesses you.
God blesses you, and you have to share. If you do not share, shame on you.
Exactly.
Shame on you.
So there's millions of people.
Yes.
There's enough business for everybody.
Literally.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
I want some cookies now. I'm like, I've been thinking about these cookies.
Yeah.
So catering.
So catering.
Like catering. How did we dive into catering?
Tony Laudermilk and Roger Mosley.
Yes.
Renee, their daughter, was my child, literally. And she stayed at my house. I cooked. She took food to them. And they, where is this food coming from? And the cookies. So Tony called me one day and she says, we want you to cater our New Year's Eve celebration. It was 1980. So that would have been 79, 80, New Year's Eve. And I said to her, but I'm not a caterer. She says, you can do it. I said, but I'm a sheriff. She says, you can do it. So I was dating the manager of Pieces of Eight restaurant in Marina Del Rey, which was Bill. Then we knew that Van Nickerson had just completed his hospitality course in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. So the three of us put our heads together and we catered the event. We put a team together. So they had appetizers from 10 to 2 and 2 o'clock broke out with this wonderful breakfast with these delicious biscuits. It was the talk of the town for a while for 175 people.
Nice.
So that was the beginning of the catering.
Nice. And you've done catering for 2 people.
Yes.
And it's not just like, oh, here's like $100 meal for 2 people, but it was like back in the day.
So I won't say the celebrity.
You don't have to say who, but I'm just...
His assistant would call me at 3 o'clock. Mm-hmm. They wanted dinner at 8.
Yeah. See, if that happens nowadays, like you're charging, like people are taxing.
So it took 5 of us to go and purchase the product.
So so this is in the 80s.
Yes.
So for a meal for 2 people, when that happened, like how much ballpark would that have cost?
For this particular celebrity was $2,000.
How much do you think that would cost now?
Probably 4. Because, well, let me just say this. What I try to educate people, it's the service, the time.
Yeah.
80% of the work is done before the guests ever arrive.
Yes.
80%, even for a dinner for 2, is done before the guests, the 2 people, sit down to have their meal. So you have to pay for that.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
People don't always understand. So how this worked with this particular celebrity, he loved Cristal champagne. At that time, Cristal was $100 a bottle. Well, I didn't have a liquor license, so I could not charge. I could not double the price because the formula for catering is a food product 3 times. Well, I couldn't do that because I didn't have a liquor license.
Got it.
So I had to charge in another way, which was normally service charge. So take it that I have to call my employees if they weren't working that day, say, you go get the chicken, you go get the produce.
And I've been one of your runaround people one day, and this is in my lifetime. Y'all, this lady wants the freshest of the fresh, and she's very particular about certain products and brands that she uses.
Yes.
And it's like, you may be in the fish market for something, but you have to go over to this market or this part of
9 times out of 10 products can be bought in one place.
No, they're not. And it's
especially when you are doing specialized service.
Yes.
Within 5 hours.
Yes.
We may not have everything in stock.
Yeah, the runaround is real. That's why I'm like, nowadays I would really have to charge because it's
So at that time, Irvine Ranch Market was on 3rd and I guess La Cienega. Irvine Ranch Market. The Beverly
Center?
Yes. Is that 3rd and La Cienega?
Yes.
Dupar's just Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I built a relationship with the meat department so that when they heard my voice, they knew, or when I said Connie Bass, the butcher, and I'd say what I needed, and then it would be my person would go pick it up for this particular client. We did this for this particular celebrity 6 times. Got it. And it was always fried chicken for this particular.
People love fried chicken, y'all.
Mashed potatoes.
Like
a healthy green, wonderful green salad. I don't remember the dressing. Oh, monkey bread.
Ooh.
And so we would keep monkey bread in the freezer just for him, for anticipate. Yeah. And then I said the Cristal already, and then iced tea. Then the chef and the server. Yes. So then they would bring, I would have the food brought from a central, you want a German chocolate cake.
Got it.
So that was a bakery on Sunset Boulevard. So anyway.
There's a lot of moving pieces.
Yes. So, and then the chef would have to start at least an hour or so ahead of time, making sure that everything was prepped. And a cook may be involved to help the chef. So even though it's just 2 people, it's a lot of work.
It's still a full production.
Yes. And you're involving sometimes 7 people. They have to get paid.
Yes. So at the time, what was your catering company? Like your
Catering by Connie.
Catering by Connie?
Yes.
And then when did the Ultimate Symphony come into play?
1996.
I like how you made that little face. So my grandmother's, it was the Ultimate Symphony, which I always loved because a part of catering, like you just heard, or event planning, there's all these moving pieces. Yes. And you literally have to be a conductor and a planner, and you have to anticipate things, and you have to know when you need to, may emphasize things versus pulling away. So it's literally when, as a child, hearing the name, the Ultimate Symphony, and seeing how these events would come out, it was just kind of like, oh, this makes sense. Like,
so the logo, it took us 6 months to create. And I literally would go to sleep and then wake up at 3:00 in the morning and say, okay,
we'll have to put the logo in. We'll have to show you guys as well, because it's a beautiful logo. Like, Cheyenne, Zach, and I are working on our logo, and I feel like it doesn't even touch on your vision that you have for your logo. And I'm not trying to talk about us badly right now, but I'm just like, we will get there. You have to start somewhere. Yeah, I was even like, y'all, like, why are we making something new?
Yeah, exactly.
We got one already. The Ultimate Symphony, Yeah, but it's
so the Ultimate Symphony. I really felt like it was going to be my last hurrah.
Yes.
So let me just put everything into it. And that was in 1996. And the first party we did, can I say his name?
Yeah.
For Magic Johnson's. Magic 32, when he built the retail store in the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall.
Cool.
It was so much fun because we did the fruit sculptures.
Yes.
I think I have the pictures.
I have some pictures. I'll have to pull some.
Yes.
We've got the books. I call them the books.
I hope we have those pictures, because that was
But
really
you guys did like these really cool fruit sculptures.
Yes.
This one, the ice sculptures were really big.
Yes. And then at that time, and I wish I could find her. Her name was Paula Golden. She was a calligrapher and just an incredible artist. So I had her to do the menu, blackboard, and then colors. Do you know somebody took it?
Like, they were like, I'm just going to keep this board. It looks really pretty.
I was like, what? I was so like, it was amazing. I just couldn't believe anybody would just walk off with it. Just like, oh my God. Yeah, it was interesting.
That's random.
Yeah, very random.
That's random. Some other people, like, so in addition to custom catering and doing event planning, you were also the minority partner
at the Encounter
Restaurant at LAX.
Theme building in LAX. Yes.
Yeah, it's just the spaceship looking building. So I know for me, when I was a kid, just hearing like some of my grandmother, I would see her planning or hear her talking about it. And I grew up with my grandmother. Like, I feel like my family, we appreciate and we love multi-generational living. Yes. So I grew up with my grandmother lived with us. And
well, your parents were building the store. I'm sorry, building the Image Quest.
Image Quest, yeah.
And I did not want them to have to. It was a 24-hour service.
Yes.
So you did not have to get up, or babysitter was always there, and I was
Anna
the
was there.
Yeah. At night.
You weren't our babysitter, you were our grandma.
Okay.
But being that she was there, I feel like we would watch, what's that show, Touched by an Angel?
Oh, yes.
I remember like we would just watch Touched by an Angel, and then she would sit there and work on her proposals or like work on events. But I always thought it was really cool because as a kid at Encounter, some of the events that you did.
Yes.
So it was John Travolta.
Richard Branson.
Yes, Richard Branson.
Diane Seaton.
Oh my gosh.
Diane singing the premieres.
Who was it? The Spy That Shagged Me. Austin Powers. You did all the Austin Powers.
That was the Richard Branson party.
Yeah, so it was just fun hearing and seeing it. And then
Shaquille O'Neal.
I didn't know that.
Did his video.
See, I'm always learning.
A lot of tall people were there.
She said a lot of tall people, but you were also very connected with like the political, a lot of.
We were Mayor Bradley's caterer for the last 3 years of his term. And Johnny Cochran helped us a lot.
Yeah, so it's this is where a lot of, I would say, like our exposure comes from as well, from being in a service oriented industry. Yes. And doing it well. Like there's a lot of people who say they do catering and whatnot, but I think you have done it in a great manner, and it's opened up doors for our family in the food industry and in custom catering and event planning. And it's not just, I've touched on, you did the dinners for two, but you've also planned weddings, beautiful weddings at that. And this is where, Cheyenne is the vision person, the visionary with events. Like, she's the Pinterest board. Like, I need this, this, and this, and that. I like to execute. I'm like, okay, once you have what your vision is, like, I will help facilitate everything. So I'm more of like the technical, operational side.
Execution.
Yeah, the execution. So Cheyenne, I remember for one of Cheyenne's events, she was like, I want this giant, elaborate flower bouquet thing hanging from the
ceiling.
It wasn't this. What is that thing called outside? The gazebo. She wanted this elaborate flower thing hanging from the gazebo. And she was like, you got that, kid? And I was looking at her and I was like, sure. And I just remember being like, okay, so not only do I need to get these flowers up here, but I need to keep them alive. Because it was a daytime event. It was a sunny day. And the last thing I wanted was
wilted flowers.
And it was like a focal point. I was so proud of myself that day.
Yes.
I literally
you made it happen.
But I don't think I would have been able to make it happen if it weren't for you. Because I saw you make it happen for so long. And just learning from you, going to the flower mart at 4 or 5 in the morning, going to just the different places to buy food or fresh herbs, edible flowers. Like, there's so many things that I have learned where to even get catering materials. Over the year, since our family has been doing this for such a long time, like, fortunately, like, our garages were always just kind of like
stuffed,
literally stuffed with storage, or, the storage facilities, whether it be chafers, tablecloths, like warmers, full on fridges, like our old house, people would come visit and I'd be like, we had like a basketball hoop into the driveway by the garage. And people would be like, what is this? Garage is crazy. Like, what are you guys doing here? Like, what kind of business are you running outside of your garage? And I'd be like, oh, it's, this is our catering stuff. But I am happy to be entering this chapter of my life. And to carry on, I look at it as this our family, part of our family legacy in terms of being a service provider.
Right. So living in Altadena on Porter was very special.
Yes, it was.
And often when I did not have the budget for my client to decorate the table, I would just go out and take branches of tangerines and leaves
from the house.
Yes.
So the house
and decorate the buffets.
Cheyenne and I grew up at had
35 fruit trees.
Yes, it was. Yes. So it was a very, I would say, magical, childhood upbringing. So yeah, use those resources.
Exactly.
I would have. There was a huge avocado tree at that house. I still want to go back and just be like, hi, like, can I just have some avocados? Avocados are really expensive in the store. And I never knew that until,
you had to buy them.
Until I had to buy them.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I should have to buy them. I want to go back to the house and just pick them off the tree. Like, give us some avocados.
And the tangerines were just the best.
Yeah. I miss that house. I miss the fruit trees. I miss the trees. Yeah. I miss those trees.
It was wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna cry. No. No, but I'm excited. I'm excited for Cheyenne, Zach, and I to start this chapter under your guidance. And
so the most important thing
is
to literally do a detailed proposal, because you do not know what the cost is going to be until everything is written down and figured out. People always want to say, what's the cost? What's the cost? And they want to pressure you. Nope, not until I do my research, find out what the cost is, and keep in touch with what are industry standards.
Yes.
What do you pay servers, supervisors, cleanup people, etc.
If someone wanted to start a catering company or event planning, is this something that you would be open to consulting them on?
Of course.
Okay. So I'm just putting this out there. Connie Bass's consulting services are available.
Yes.
And when I tell you, like, just there's so much wealth of knowledge and experience, and it's not all luxury catering. It's not, there's been that has occurred, but there's also, balling on a budget, I would say.
Yes.
Events, and there's so many tricks of the trade, and yeah, it's if you have questions, like,
so food was
we'll reach out.
our specialty, and we always wanted to make sure that the food was fresh,
Yes.
properly maintained at the event, and hot if it was hot food, cold if it's cold. Temperature was always extremely important.
Yes, temperature is very important. It's very important.
We never had anybody get sick. I think that's a huge feat. Yes.
That's something to be proud of in food service, because that's something to be proud of, because it's so easy for something to come out.
But again,
wrong.
Temperature is extremely important. And if you follow the guidelines of the health department, you'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. I had to learn them. So, a random fact, from my grandmother being the minority partner at Encounter, there's opportunity to run the back lot at LAX. There was like an employee cafeteria,
right.
And we had that contract. And from there, it led to another contract at San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station. So your girl over here worked at a nuclear power plant for
4 years.
4 years. And there I learned so much about food service and just food and baking in general. We operated 3 employee cafeterias, servicing literally thousands of people a day.
Yes.
And then there was a period of time for a couple of months. I don't remember how long. Actually, it was more than a couple of months, but we were 24 hours. And I was like 19, 20, 21. But I literally, there was a point in time where I was managing a staff of 33 people. I had to make all their schedules. I was doing the food ordering. Like, my dad taught me how to do the food ordering, so I'd have to do the food ordering. I was doing the payroll. I was learning tricks in terms of food ordering. So, like, for the holidays, I knew we would order like large amounts of vegetables or whatnot. But I learned this trick from my dad. We would place the order for like certain vegetables, like maybe like 6 months in advance when the prices were lower, and then ask them to hold it or not deliver it until like, the set date that we needed, because around the holiday time,
everything went up.
So just learning like little tricks like that, I always thought were really interesting, fun, cool. I hope no one gets mad at that. And that's why I learned how to do like budgets for parties, where it'd be like, okay, here's $100,000 budget. It's for, 3,500 people. This is it. So learning how to do all the budgeting and just really paying attention to detail. Like, there's a lot of detail that goes into the event planning. And it's crazy how you can literally be planning an event or working on an event for like 3 months, 2 months, like an extended period of time, all for one day. And when that one day is over, it's like,
oh my God,
we're done. We made it through.
Yes.
We made it through. I remember one time we had to do an event. It was for 3,000 people, and we had to make kitchens because it was in a giant parking lot. And it was buffet style. So, which at the time was like, when I look back, I'm like, how do we do it? And then something happened where there was like an extra 300 or 400 people. Yeah. Oh yeah. And it was Thanksgiving.
oh my God.
So we ended up running out of turkey. Yeah. Cause they say that, yeah, we planned it for 3,000. They might have given us a number of like 27 or something. We planned for like 3,000 or 3,100 people, but it really ended up being like 3,500 people. It got to the point where we literally were like pulling out any and everything that we could, because we weren't not going to feed the people. Like, we were like, we're here to feed you. Like, let us feed you. May not be what you thought was going to be at the end. I'm so sorry, but we are going to give you food. Okay. So it's, you know, there's a lot of things that can happen in catering, where, you know, you've got your smooth points, but I've definitely had some of those moments where it's like, oh, this could go really bad really fast, like having to think quickly on your feet. But yeah, I just want to thank you for those moments. Yeah, because I think they will forever live with all of us. Yeah. And it's gotten to the point where, you know, our friends and family now come to us for cooking or event planning, and they're really trying to get to Nana. They fill us out first. And then they're like, okay, well, I'm just going to ask Nana. And I'm like, you're smart. You're smart. You're smart. So thank you, Nana, for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you for having me.
We'll have to bring you back on one day with Cheyenne and Shanan, just because you've got so many gems and just life lessons, and there's so much that I think mothers, that's a whole other conversation of just you parenting. You're a single mother of 3 daughters. One of your daughters had a daughter young, so then I always say you had 4 daughters,
right?
But then you also raised your grandchild. And you had thriving, full-on careers, and you've had some marriages.
Just 2. That's enough.
That's enough. Some marriages.
8 years the first time, 8 months the second time.
She learned her lesson quick. She said, "Oh, wait, just kidding." You've had, to me, you've had a very fulfilling life.
I really am very blessed, and I'm grateful.
I believe so. Yes. And I think you're definitely worth sharing. I love sharing my grandmother with everyone. So we're gonna include. Is it okay if we include your email address, or if anyone wants to reach out? And then also, Connie Bass has a nonprofit. It's the Hazel Catherine Institute for the Arts.
Hazel Catherine Bass.
Oh, sorry, Hazel Catherine Bass. Excuse me.
Institute for the Arts.
Where they are focusing on teaching
students how to read music.
Yes, so that they're employable. Because there's a lot of people who are innately talented.
It's like playing by ear.
Yes.
But unless you know how to read a score, you cannot work in a symphony or studio. You have to be able to read music.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where once you learn how to read music, it sticks with you. Yes. I know how to read music. I don't play or use it at this point in my life. I would like to, but I was taught how to read music at a young age, and it's like one of those things where you just can't unsee it. Like, you can't unknow it. I think once you know it, once you learn it, once you grasp it, it stays with you forever. So I think that is a beautiful gift to have and a beautiful gift to give to someone. So yeah, just from a music lovers, music supporters, I will put the information also so that you can support Miss Bass in her vision and her goals in life. Because they're here. They're here to stay. Your legacy is here. So I love you.
I love you too. Thank you.
Every time we end the show, we either give the listeners a bit of advice, or we share with them what is called a WTF moment. So a WTF moment stands what the.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So if you just had like a crazy moment of the week, or just, you can share a highlight, or you can share advice.
So I say, keep God in your life at all times. In my life, God was first, family next, and then my profession.
Beautiful. And for me, I'm going to do a WTF. Y'all, Cheyenne and Shanan are here, and it's been a long week, and I miss my friends, and I can't wait for them to come back and for us to record together. So that's my WTF. It's not really a WTF. I'm just saying. I miss their presence. So thank you all for tuning in to this week's podcast. We over here at the Think Loud crew truly appreciate you. please do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and to listen on your favorite podcast platform. Again, my name is Kylin, and you can find me on Instagram at Kylin. And we had a lovely guest today, Constance Bass. And
Everyone calls me Connie.
Everyone calls her Connie. I call her Nana, sometimes Nanners, because, Nana 2.0. She's always evolving herself. Literally, this woman is taking Zoom classes and grant writing classes and social media classes,
Trying to keep up with you.
And I'm trying to the funny thing is we're trying to keep up with you, and you're not keeping up with us. You're just adapting to what we have to do. Yes. So it's, we're secretly still trying to keep up with you, Nana. Okay. So thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to go comment, like, subscribe, and we will see you next week. Ciao. Bye.